part-time farmers living, depending on my father came to England in 1954, well, depending on his sport. But when he brought me with him in 1960, obviously I was very few Muslim boys or girls, children in England. I think I was probably the first one in Derby. Certainly when I went to school, I was only Muslim in the school. There were other Asian. Then as the years followed on, other families started coming, and the number of people increased, and therefore until initially I was from my peer group. When I first came to England, it was November the 11th, and in those days, in the 60s, the winter used to be extremely cold in comparison to now. And I can remember that it was very cold, and my father got me in a taxi and take me to the railway station in London. We got a train from London to Derby, and then a taxi from Derby railway station to the house we were going to live in Lennon Street, which has been demolished now. It's not there anymore. And I can remember it was very cold, and it was dark when we got home. And obviously, for me, it was a new experience, new house, people I had no idea who they were that I was living with. And just to make things worse, the jobs were extremely hard to get. But my father had an opportunity for a job first thing in the morning, and he left me, woke me up saying, "You'll be all right, I'm going to go to work." And that was my first day in England, all alone. I didn't know anyone there. They were all friendly, they knew my father obviously, and they took care of me, but I was on my own. And of course, when I came on my own, not with my mother.
So you came in Derby. That was your first city where you came?
Always lived in Derby.
Always in Derby. And do you remember how many people were living in the house with you, where you were living with your father?
There were about 5 in the room, in the bedroom that we were having, but I don't know how many in the house.
Right.
It was extremely crowded.
So you mentioned earlier that did you go to school here and you had all your education here. So how did you find it? It was easier than Pakistan, or?
Well, it was harder. Obviously there's nobody to teach me. My father wasn't educated, so he couldn't help me. So I've left all on my own. The one thing I do remember was writing from left to right, instead of writing as in Urdu.
Yeah.
And they couldn't understand why I was writing, the wrong way around.
Oh, right.
But yes, it took me time, and eventually got through.
And when you started working here, and how was the behavior of the people, because you said that you were a social worker, so obviously being a Pakistani, being a social worker, having all your education here and then working with the people, different background, how was their behavior?
Well, working in the manufacturing industry, you got on with your work and you did your job, no problem. Working with people, getting into social services, that was different, obviously. It was culturally different, it was a cultural shock. Up to the time when I joined social services, I had no idea there were social services or what they do. And it was a real eye-opener. You see so much of the society that you never really knew or existed. Yes, I think my colleagues were very, very supportive of me in social services. Mm-hmm. Education in Leicester Polytechnic, that was good. It was, very helpful. Working with people, there's only 1 or 2 incidents of clear racism. But apart from that, I work with people, and I work very well with people.
Okay, so how long it was before you bought your first house?
I bought my
I mean, you know, like obviously wage was different at that time, and
Yes.
so
I know I was working in, I'm not going to date it, but I know I qualified as a motor mechanic, and I was working in the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineering Army Depot in Hilton for about 3 months, and the salary wasn't great, so I left and ended up in Leeds Foundry, which paid more, but obviously the work was a lot dirtier. And that's purely because I needed money to buy a house.
okay.
And that's when I bought me a house. And we moved into the house over the summer holiday. I had 2 children then, a boy and a girl. And I do know that I had about £40 in my pocket to furnish my house. And which I did, you know. You only buy the very, very basic and at the cheapest price you could. But then as things improved, obviously, things have improved since.
Yeah. So what do you think, like how were you involved in the community work other than a social worker? Then how were you involved in the community work? What you used to do with your spare time?
I've done bed from Bengal Shape in Pakistan, and we have that religious group, and that was my main focus apart from my work, where I spent most of my spare time, either in Derby or in Birmingham, where the local headquarters is. So that took about most of my time. Other than that, I wasn't a community worker in here. I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't interested in local politics or national politics.
So what do you think? Which is your what is your proudest achievement? You know, you think, oh, you know, like you've achieved this much in life and you are happy with it.
I'm definitely happy with the life I achieved. I had a balanced life. I was well off enough that I had enough finances to meet all my needs and my children's needs. I wasn't struggling financially. I have raised 3 children. They're all reasonably educated, the youngest being the more educated. They're all married, they're all working, they've got their own houses.
So what do you think that what has been the happiest period in your life is now or before, or what do you think?
Well, I think the last 20 odd years, once the children were growing up, I was a well-established social worker. Sold my first house, moved into a bigger house. Everything was comfortable. I was happy with the life. I had done a number of Hajjs, a number of Umrahs. I had no, life could all have been better, but it could have been a lot worse. I was quite happy with what I had achieved.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share with us? Now you can tell us whatever you want. About life, about community, anything.
Yeah, I mean, when the Derby first mosque on Davis Road was bought, the house, I was here. And then we moved on to Rosal Street. I was there, and I made my financial contribution. So that, you know, my focus has always been on the religious side, rather than the political side.
Yeah.
I took my daughter and my son and daughter-in-law for Hajj about 3 years ago. I used to be a heavy smoker, but I've given that up 3 years ago, finally. Yeah, I've got grandchildren, 4 of them actually, and I'm quite content with life.
Okay, so do you remember anything you think that this thing, you still remember about Pakistan, something?
Yes, I've been to Pakistan a number of times, and yes, I can remember things, you know, the places. We were selling up most of what we had there. And I know that my father, when his father passed away and he was left with nothing, the land was a poor and you had to pay, you know, they were paying that. And he worked hard and paid the money off, owned the land, and left us property estimated about £250,000. That's how much it was valued, which, you know, was far better. And I don't think I have achieved that much, but I have given my children something, and hopefully I'll leave them something.
So if I was going to ask, when you came into Derby and you lived in the home that you were in and with your father and there was other people living there, could you just describe for us the living conditions, how they were like when, in terms of hygiene and everything else that goes with it?
I was sharing our bedroom with my father, and I think at least two other men, if not more, if I remember rightly. The house was overcrowded, and there was only one toilet outside. There was no bath facility. Bathing were communal bathing in Regional Street baths.
Okay.
But about 6 months later, my father bought his own house, a bigger house, and we had a bigger room, and I had a bed on my own. That was the important thing. But again, there was a multi-occupation. There were a lot of people there, lodgers, as many as you can get in there, in fact. But we did have a bathroom inside, toilet, bathroom, and an outside toilet, which was a luxury then. But then, as the years progressed, we sold that house and moved into a smaller house with no lodgers, just a family.
What about food? How were you cooking and what were you eating at that time?
Well, we were, I think by the time we bought our own house, I know the first Asian shop was an Indian young man, and then he sold out, and then we had the Khan brothers moved in. They were very friendly with my father, and they had a grocery shop as well as a butcher shop.
Do you know what street that was on? Do you remember?
On Norton Road, just along here.
Oh right, Norton Road.
Not too far from me.
Okay.
Top of Litchurch Street.
Ah, right, okay.
Do you remember Litchurch Street?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, it was on Norton Road. Then Najib had his butcher shop a little further along.
Ah, okay.
That's Najib and Son now.
And that's where the community started with the shops?
Yes, those were the first two shops.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just increased. There's another one on Purchase Road. But then slowly but surely, you know, people starting to have their own shops, their own things. My first impression was when I came here, it was evening, November, dark and cold, and got home to where my father was lodging, a room with some other people, and I had to share that room with them. And that was my first night in England. I didn't know anybody else apart from my father. And the first thing in the morning, he got a job and he went to work. And I was left all on my own among other people that I didn't know. I started school in '61 at junior school, which is a Church of England school on Degas Road, which is now been converted into a community centre. I did my education, but my main thing that I learned my English from was that our neighbours were two English family, one Mr. and Mrs. Webster, and they had a son, Richard Webster, who was younger than me, but I went to school with him initially. And the family after that were Mr. and Mrs. Majors, who were a pensioner, and they didn't have any children. And they were quite fond of me. In fact, I used to go to their house every evening after school, because the father was at work and I had nothing else to do, and watch TV and have my tea there. And they were so good that they will actually wash my clothes as well, to make sure that my clothes were as clean as anybody else in the school. So my first impression of British people were all positive. That's where I learned my English as well, to start with. At the school, it's very difficult, because I was writing Urdu and you're going to write English. I had to learn the hard way. And of course, you progress annually to a different class, which was difficult to keep up. And then we had an Indian lady teacher who was teaching all the Asian lads who were in school who couldn't speak English, and I had to spend a year there. But by the time I finished my education, it was fairly poor, I would say. I wouldn't say I had much English. But after finishing school, I did normal, I worked, then got married. But then I thought, no, I need to improve my English. So I went to evening classes, tried to improve my English. I didn't get any qualification, but it did improve my English. And then I just simply worked in local manufacturing industry, textile, foundry, did a bit of taxiing.